All right, if you're keeping score at home, the Boston Celtics lost a rock fight to the Denver Nuggets. Then Victor Wembanyama just obliterated the concept of a layup. And there was a good win in between. But there's a lot more happening around the waters of New England. Drake Maye and the Patriots are headed to the playoffs in prime time. Oh, and the Boston Red Sox haven't spent a dime this offseason. We have a lot of stuff to talk about happening around this weekend, and we're doing it all with my father. So without further ado, let's get right to it. What's up, Dad?
How you doing, Z-Man?
I'm a little you know, have mixed feelings right now. I'm a little worried about the Pats game tonight. I am super frustrated with the Red Sox lack of spending. In fact, having not spent a dime this offseason. And we've had a little, two rough losses to teams that I'm not saying you should have beaten, but it would have been nice to split those two.
I I hear you. I mean, and the Bruins won 4 out of 5 and scored 10 goals, but we'll put that to
That's
the
true.
side.
I did watch that game. That was a fun Saturday afternoon game.
Yeah, yeah. But let's focus. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start Pats? Do you want to do some NFL? You want to do Celtics? We could talk about the Red
I,
Sox, but I think we gotta. I agree with you. I think we should wait and see how that shakes out a little.
yeah, I agree. I think we'll start with the Celtics. They did have a solid win against the Raptors in between these two losses. A lot of the Raptors starters didn't play, but their defense was still pretty good. It was a tough sort of defensive grinded out game. But I think we start with the Celtics and the two losses that they had to the Spurs and the Nuggets and sort of how those came about, and then we can get to NFL later in the show.
I, I have an opinion about those two losses. I'm going to ask you first. Which one? Which one do you like the least? Which one bothers you more?
The Nuggets game probably.
That's
Yeah, I mean the Spurs are a top five team in the NBA, maybe even top three. They're second in the
yeah,
West.
yeah.
It's funny because they have the three great wins against the Spurs or against the Thunder, but they also have some rough losses against like the Jazz and Dallas. I think they lost to maybe. So
Yeah.
um, and the frustrating part about that game, no, we can talk about the Nuggets game next. That was probably the more depressing loss. But the
Yeah.
frustrating part again about that game was the way that, they didn't even try and go into the paint against Wemby, right? There's
Yeah, they were terrified. Although when they did, they kind of were, it kind of converted. Like,
that's
Peyton Pritchard high off the glass,
yeah, like
you know.
that's why I was so frustrated because like you might not get a good shot. You might get blocked if you go in and try and sort of go up against Wemby. But you can go into the paint, draw Wemby in, and kick it out to an open shooter or someone else. But when
Yeah,
you have all five guys standing on the perimeter,
yeah,
even guys that don't shoot threes in Kada, right, and whoever else was out there,
yeah,
you don't have a chance to win that game because basically the Spurs were defending the five Celtic starters with four guys. I
right.
talked about this a little bit last night, but Wimby was just standing in the paint, not playing defense. He was just standing there, and the Spurs were able to just guard the five Celtics players with four guys because of their sort of like afraid, like
Yeah.
fear of going into the paint.
But let me ask you another question. I'm sure you saw Jaylen Brown had some choice words following the game. He said, "I don't care if you find me." He was very, he really felt like they got screwed by the refs. What's your take on that?
I mean, 100%. I mean, you shoot whatever four free throws to the Spurs 18. And, a lot of that is the Celtics inflicted wounds and the fact that they didn't go into the paint, right? You're not getting free throws on shooting threes because nobody's going to come out and foul you when you're taking a three, right?
Not on
You,
purpose, right? Maybe
yeah,
landing area, but
yeah.
yeah,
But you get fouls by going up in contested areas and getting your arm smacked or whatever type of foul it is, right? And the fact that the Celtics were unable to do that late in the game cost the game or cost the Celtics the game because, you know, their offense got cold because of their positioning and they weren't getting free points at the line. That being said, I think earlier in the game, they were going into the paint,
Yeah.
especially when Wemby wasn't on the floor and they weren't getting calls either. And I think Jaylen Brown at this point, you know, the way he's carrying this team and how he's, you know, a top 5 MVP candidate, it seems like right now. The NBA had him second in their latest power rankings. Obviously, I don't think he's quite second, but the
Right.
point being, you know, he's up there now. He's getting recognition around the league. You would think he would get some of those superstar calls that come along with that.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I actually thought it was a really good game last night, and
Mm-hmm.
I think we in the last 2 minutes, you know, I think we didn't get some calls. We also didn't hit some shots, right? And if you want to beat arguably the top one, two, three team in the league, you only get small windows. You're not gonna get big windows ever, right? And so I think Brown has a point. It really doesn't get the calls. Um, but we still could have won that game. And I'm okay because I feel like we went toe to toe with those guys for 46 minutes. And that gives me hope that, Tatum comes back, we play a little bit better. Kata maybe, is looking good. And so I don't know. I was bummed that we didn't win in the end, but I also took encouragement because I felt like we hung with arguably the best or one of the best teams in the league for 46 minutes kind of thing. And so you got to do 48, but still I felt good about that.
Yeah, I agree. I think, you know, a little segment on Wemby here. The fact that he has a Kevin Durant skill set with a 7-5 build, shooting, fadeaway mid-range shots
Yeah, I saw
with
that shot.
a height at what is it, like 11 feet by the time he lets that ball go. Like you just gotta pray he misses. And he wasn't missing late in the fourth quarter, right? In those last 3 minutes, those two fadeaway jumpers that he had
Yeah.
and you add that to the fact that the Celtics weren't getting good shots because of their floor spacing and their inability to get into the paint, and it sort of fell apart in those last three minutes.
Yeah. I wonder what the I think teams are going to I mean, he's a unique talent, but teams will develop and are developing game plans to against him. I think one of the things that historically you can do is be really physical with a guy like that. I mean, not a Peyton Pritchard. You need a guy like Jordan Walsh to try and dunk over him and just body to body. You know what? Like punish him if he's gonna play that D.
And yeah, and I think there's one thing, the defensive end, that's a whole nother situation that he's going to be a defensive force his entire career.
Yep.
But you can limit him offensively. I think teams live with his defensive presence, right? Because you can
Yep.
still get shots on him, but you can't let him get, you know, his game
Elbow
going off
jumpers from the top of the
offensively,
key. Yeah.
right? You have to hit him low, keep him out of his positioning because
Yeah.
once he gets the ball in a spot, he's just going to
Yeah.
shoot over you.
No, I think
But
I think that's right. It's sort of like Pritchard and Brown. You got to keep them off their spots because when they're on the spots, they're like, 90%, right?
right, but at least you have a player that's tall enough to guard a Jaylen Brown. You don't have a player that is taller
Sure.
than Wemby in the league. So if he's in, the sort of mid range, even the unrestricted paint area, right? He's gonna get any shot he wants, right?
Yep.
But if you can, make him catch the ball, 12 to 15 feet from the basket, that's a much harder shot for someone to make, even of his size.
I haven't seen any footage of this, but it would be interesting to watch. We've seen the one play where it did not go well, but a guy like Draymond Green, even a bigger guy who's such a
Mm-hmm.
physical, aggressive defender. And we did see that play, I think, earlier in the season where Wemby just embarrassed Green, right? But
Right.
like that's you need like the 6'10", 260 guy, 280 guy to like that's your only I mean, I think that's your best shot to keep him off his spots, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think, this game really shows the lack of center depth for the Celtics, right? They went with guys like Luke Cornett, Kelly Olynyk, and
Also former Celtic.
yes, but Victor Wembanyama, right? Two of them at the same time,
Yeah,
and
double big was.
the problem with the Celtics is double big works for other teams. Double big doesn't work for the Celtics anymore because Luka Garza and Kata can't really play together, and
No, I agree.
you don't have a choice but to go double big when they go with that, and that impacts the Celtics offensively and defensively because you have to do something to limit them, and the only way to do that is to go double big. But the negative downsides of that sort of outweigh the positives you're getting from it.
I think that's right. I mean, I think the move is, can you get anybody else? I mean, do you move Simons? Like,
Yeah,
what can you actually do or get? I just don't think they're gonna. I just don't think they're in a position to make a crazy aggressive move to get, that next guy, right?
yeah, and actually, we're gonna do, or at least I'm gonna do a trade deadline preview for all the teams in the NBA sometime this week. I think on Tuesday we're doing it, and we're gonna talk about what type of center could you get in the trade deadline. The problem is that there's not a lot of great defensive centers out there. There's some limited offensive centers that don't play much defense, and I don't think offensively the centers are the problem right now. Really, the offense in general is not a huge problem, except when you're going up against Wemby, right? We haven't seen a problem like this occur for most of the
No, I
season,
agree. And
right?
honestly, I would be okay hypothetically if you make it to the finals and don't have an answer. Like that's still a win for me, right?
Right.
You
And,
know,
I mean, as the days go on, Tatum is coming back, hopefully, and he's done a great job in his career of guarding centers, guys that are bigger than him. But he's only 6'9". He's not going to be guarding Wemby, right? You need a guy like Ugo Gonzalez. I think that was probably their best answer to him last night was trying to put, a guy that's just going to be scrappy physical on him.
it's really interesting, you know, as we've watched this season unfold, we're, roughly halfway, right? Give or take.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at the guys that started and then DNP'd and then started. And if we were to ask Coach Missoula, can you tell us what's your philosophy and how you're rotating players and maybe like, just trying to do what it takes to win, just trying to put the best team out there, got
Yeah.
to quality possessions, make shots, play defense.
the
That's what we're trying
the
to do.
Bill Belichick answer.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about how you're making some of those decisions, Coach, and how you're thinking about starting Ugo or Tillman or just trying to win games? Okay, thanks, Coach. Appreciate all the insight.
Yeah, you're actually funny enough. The best insight you're getting on this team is from Jaylen Brown, um, and all the stuff he's coming out and saying. Right, he talked a lot after the Raptors game. I think it was on his wrist injuries and the medicine he's been taking, and how this is his best season of his career or his favorite season.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna say that worries me, but I'm wondering how when Tatum comes back, how does that relationship work? And I know, we've had this conversation for years and they've won a championship. It's not a question anymore.
Yeah.
But how do you make it so that that the offense, at least this year, still runs around Jaylen Brown, even when Tatum's back on the floor?
I don't know. We're gonna have to see. I would not be surprised at all if there were, some, a good 5, 7 adjustment games. That said, Brown and Tatum have played together so long already. It's not like you're making a move at the trade deadline to squeeze a piece in. I mean, these guys
Right.
know each other. So, um, so we'll see. I mean, what's our timeline for that? What are we thinking?
So I still think it's the All-Star break. I think that still gives him, 20 plus games to get under his belt before he comes back. Some people think it's earlier, a couple weeks into February. I just think they give him the All-Star break off and bring him back in that home game that we talked about. I think it was the
Yeah.
the Brooklyn Nets or whatever the team was. I think, there is a couple games against Charlotte, I guess, before that in February that he could come back for, I guess. Right. I
I mean,
think
my question is when he comes back, because I do believe he's coming back this season.
mhm,
I think at this point with the way they're playing,
right.
right? Do you think he comes back like 7 minutes off the bench, goes 2 for 4 and whatever? Would you think that guy comes back like shot out of a cannon? His very first play, he goes to the rim and just tries to annihilate a guy.
So, you know, we've seen this happen before. The Porzingis in game one of the NBA Finals, where he's coming off the bench and he just makes a just massive impact,
Yeah,
unexpected 20
just out.
points. Right. And I'm wondering if, do you get something like that? Or does he know that he has, 20 games to ramp up and he purposely takes it slow? And,
I
we'll just
think,
have to wait and see on that.
yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Um, but we'll see. I think though, I think they're not going to do anything substantial at the deadline. And so therefore I think this team makes it, to be honest, depending on where they end up in the seeds and who they run into. I think we make to Eastern Conference Finals. I really do.
I mean, it depends, what seed you are. If you're on, you have to go through either the Knicks or the Pistons before then.
That's
I
right.
don't think they're going to be on the same side of the bracket
Well, they might be.
unless you're the one seed, right?
No, if you're the two seed, well,
And
you
you
still got
play
to go through
you
one of them.
you got to go through the Knicks then, right?
Yeah.
The
No, no,
Pistons are
you
still the
don't.
one seed.
No,
Two
you
and
don't,
three,
because
2 and 3 are on one side, 1 and 4 on the other side,
oh yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Sorry. Um, yeah, so that's right. So that's probably going through the Knicks. And you
right?
might not get through them.
I
But
don't think. Yeah, I think that the physicality and toughness that they play with in the regular season is going to be matched in the the postseason, which is why you need a Tatum or
yeah,
someone to break that tie.
yeah.
Um,
Anyway, I
no,
gotta say though, so far so good. I would have liked to have beat Denver. I would have liked to beat the Spurs. The Raptors game was, you know, good. All in all, I feel good about this team.
yeah, I agree. We can talk quickly
You
now
know the other
about
team I feel good about? You know the other team I feel good about? Drake May and the Patriots.
we'll get to him. Don't you worry.
Okay. I'm not worried. I'm not worried.
I'm worried. I don't know.
I'm
Chargers
not
deep.
worried.
Okay. Well,
I'm not saying I think this is going to be a tough, hard game. I think we win.
all right. Um, we'll get to that in just a second. But to sort of wrap up the Celtics conversation
Yeah.
here, with the Denver Nuggets game. Quickly before that, I do want to say while we were on the topic, we did just move on, but while we were on the topic of trade deadline, I think Anfernee Simon stays
I think
because
he does too.
you're not
I
going
think
to
they run
find.
out his contract because they want that depth on the bench.
Well, here's my thing. I actually think he came into this season as just a player that could score the ball, but it just felt like he didn't know how to play basketball. Right? He was just going out. No, listen,
I would not say that to his face, but okay.
listen. Here's what I'm saying. He could go. He didn't understand the schemes around defensive, game planning, and he was just a born go out and put the ball in the
This is one
basket,
scorer. This is a
right?
scorer.
And now with the coaching, whatever he, I'm not saying he's
Elite
elite
defender.
defender,
Yeah.
but he looks like a defender that can, find a role that is not getting lost every single possession on backdoor cuts or getting picked off the dribble, right?
Yeah.
He is holding his own, and with the other defensive guys you have around him, and Jaylen Brown, self-proclaimed and nominated by your guy Kendrick Perkins for the best two-way player in the league, ahead of Victor Wembanyama for the matter. Um, um, you have enough defensive talent around him that you could put him out there, and the stuff that he's able to do offensively can just give a boost to a team whenever he's on the floor.
I agree. And if you could get another big piece for him, a big man, I think with Tate, if Tatum comes back, I think you can let him go, right? Because that is a better than one for one swap at the end of the day. And so you could actually, if you packaged Garza and Simons and got like a legit partner for Kada,
Mm-hmm.
and Tatum comes back, I think you do that.
Here's my question.
Good.
Do you sign him for like 14 million next year and have him just as your sixth man of the year? Like
Simons?
he's not gonna be a $27 million player in the NBA. Everyone just realizes after this season that he's a great six man. But can you, shrink, cut maybe $12 million off his contract, something like that, and you have a reliable
Maybe.
player coming off the bench, very similar to what Peyton Pritchard did for you last year, is he not?
Yeah, could
I
could
mean,
could be. I mean,
I mean, what's
you're already gonna have a six man though when Tatum comes back, right?
yeah, but I
So
mean,
who's your six when Tatum comes back? Who's your six?
it becomes Hauser probably. I mean, I think they stay with the two guards in the line. I mean, the three guards in
So
the
you
lineup.
play Tatum, Brown, White, Kada,
Pritchard,
Pritchard. Okay,
yeah,
so then you want Gonzalez or Simons or
Hauser. I mean,
Hauser.
they might let Hauser go or
You
not
think?
let it go. They trade him. I don't know because like he's probably a good reliable asset in his ability to just be a knockdown shooter, and teams might want that, and you could get probably a good amount back for him.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't think they let Hauser go.
Yeah.
Um,
Um. Yeah. Let's move on to quick thoughts on the
okay.
Denver game. Um.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just honestly, it was what it was. It had some good looks, played okay. Jokic is in there, you get
Yeah.
crushed. He wasn't in there. So I don't know. I just
I
they could have
thought
won, but they didn't. It's
I
kind of how
thought
I
that
think.
was yeah, I thought it was the one game where Jaylen Brown sort of forced the ball and tried to score it on his own and not make plays for others, and it ended up in a pretty poor efficiency game from him. And he got his 30 points, but it took him, what is it, like 25 shots or something to get there, right? So like that really cost you the game. I thought in
Yeah.
the next two games against the Raptors and the Spurs, he completely got rid of it, right? And that's
Yeah.
the thing about Jaylen Brown. An MVP candidate like that is a guy that, he has one bad game and he completely gets that part out of his game.
That's right.
And
He doesn't stay there. He
right,
strikes out five times. He goes back and hits two home runs and a double, right?
right.
It's like
I mean, yeah,
he
and that,
super inefficient, not great, some foul trouble, comes back,
mm,
puts up, 36 efficiently. So yeah.
yeah, I also thought it was unfortunate that you let, Jamal Murray get 17 assists on you. Like he's the
Yeah.
one offensive player, like one star for that team with Jokic out, and he's going to be a first time All Star, right? He's still a talented player, but there wasn't much else around him that he shouldn't have been able to do that on you that easily.
I do think, let me just a little side thing and then we should move on here. But do you ever get the sense that Kada intentionally misses putbacks so he can pad his offensive rebounding number?
What did he have, 20, 21 or something in that
Like,
game? No, he had 19.
yeah, yeah. And he
Yeah,
got three on one play. It was like miss,
yeah.
miss, miss, basket. Okay. I mean, do you think he's padding?
Hey, he might be. No, but
Uh,
Kate for the most part has been good this year. I mean, I don't think we
very
should
good.
be dissing Kate on the way that he's really, guard has come into the picture a little bit, but for the most part of the season, he's been your one guy to go to when you need a traditional center out there.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
being
I think Kate
said,
is
he was your only guy. Um,
also that.
all right.
Um,
Anything else you want to catch on the Celtics here before we or transition to the
no,
NFL side?
nope. I think we do a quick preview.
All right.
What did you think of the games yesterday, real quick?
Yeah, little 2 minute offense here. 2 minute drill. First of all, I thought the Panthers played really well. I was impressed with
Yeah.
Bryce Young and his ability to keep that game close and actually have a chance to win it before Matthew Stafford obviously just was
Did Matthew Stafford?
ridiculous you know final drive to win the game.
Yeah.
And I think this is sort of a rebuilding year for the Panthers, right? They get into the playoffs. I think they had a losing record, 8-9, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah,
right?
I think that's right. I
This
think
is
Panthers had a good year, though, all things considered. They really played well in that game.
I agree, and they beat the Rams earlier in the season, but that also came with three interceptions from Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
Here's this game. That game actually made me think of something. Right, division winners in the NFL, right? They get the advantage, even if you have a losing record or whatever it is. If you win the division, you get to host a first round playoff game. I was thinking of, this is not ever going to happen, but I was wondering if you could make a little NFL rule change where you get into the playoffs with a division win, but then the playoff
Best
seeding
record gets home.
playoff seedings are done by the conference, right? You get in,
Yeah,
right? So it doesn't eliminate the fact that you can get in if you win your division, right? Because
I,
then
I I agree.
that
There must be a reason they don't do that, but I
right,
totally agree. I think it would be way better, fairer, I should say, to do that. I do like though. I do like the constant reshuffling, which is the best team always gets to play the lowest next seed. That's kind
that's
of a
something that
cool
doesn't happen in
in
other
other
sports,
sports.
right?
Yeah, which I think is kind of cool.
That is cool.
And then I think the Bears. I'll tell you this, I have not been a believer. We have a
I
friend
mean,
in Washington, D.C. named Mac, who's a big Bears guy. Um, I have to say that was a convincing win by those guys last night. I'm not convinced, but it was convincing.
I don't know. You're down. I mean, that's a choke job first and foremost by the Packers. Um,
Still, I mean, Packers should have put that game away. They didn't, but like Bears came back to win it. You got to give them credit. And I'm not a believer, but I got to give them credit. Like
and they
they won.
yeah, and they did it without the big turnovers for most of the game, right? I
Yeah.
think they got a
Well, there
couple.
was a little part of the game where it was like, let's see who can fumble more. Let's
Oh
see.
yeah, did you see that play? So right, whatever. Love is being tackled to the ground, and he gets the ball
Yeah,
away to
yeah,
his linebacker,
yeah.
or no, what? No, not his linebacker, his
Yeah, the
offensive
fullback or
line,
whatever, the
right,
guy.
whatever it was,
And he like
and he
runs,
and
fumbles,
fumbles the ball,
fumbles.
goes 40 yards down the field,
He booted it. He
and
fumbled it and booted it.
picked it, and the Bears player couldn't come up with it. I
Yeah.
mean,
It was a little ridiculous. But so I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I was impressed by the Bears. I think today is going to have some great games. We'll build up to our game last. I'm going to make some calls right now.
okay, I got my call on uh the Jacksonville versus Buffalo
What's
game.
your call? What's your
Uh,
call?
you can't let cook in the kitchen. Can't let the cook in the kitchen. That's my line right there. Don't let James Cook just destroy the best run defense in the NFL, right? Because
Yeah,
you, there's not much else to the Buffalo game. Yes, you have to worry about Josh Allen running and making plays on the move, but
yeah,
I think for the most part you can even those out with uh the play from Jacksonville, right? But you
yeah.
can't. You're not going to be able to if James Cook goes off, you're not going to have a way to keep this game close.
I think that's right. I think the Bills win this game, but I could see Jacksonville winning by 2 scores. Like they can be,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the Bills win. That's my prediction. Um, what do you think about Eagles 49ers? I'm really torn on this one.
I mean that's probably the best game. I think it's going to be the closest game um, of these playoffs. I'm going to go with the Eagles. I think just because
Hard to make that vote though, right?
I know,
Just
but I
they
just
just are
think that
not playing well.
there's too many injuries on the 49ers defensive side. And, you know, there's been questions about the Eagles offense and whatever, and, just in what's his name? Jalen Hurts and, his
Yeah,
decision making, whatever. But first
yeah,
of all, he's a Super Bowl champion. He always performs in the playoffs over the last, many seasons.
yeah,
And you still have arguably the best running back in the NFL.
yeah. I think that's a fair call. I think I think the Eagles probably win though. Brock Purdy, if he goes off, like I think they'll beat the Eagles. So we'll see. I mean,
Um,
this is the thing about this is why they're good games. It's really hard to make the call. You're like, well, if this happens, 49ers win. If this happens,
mhm.
Eagles will win, right? I think the Patriots do win. I think it's going to be a tough game. Um, I think the Patriots, though, I think the Patriots come out on top, and I think the Texans. I think the Steelers. Even though they're home, I just think the Steelers.
No, I think
Aaron
the Tech.
Rodgers,
I know
Texans should crush
the
them.
whatever Metcalf is back and whatever, but I think the Texans defense is too much. All right, on the Patriots Chargers game here.
Yeah,
Getting to my notes. You know, the Patriots have not been a good team at getting to the quarterback. Finding a way to sack the quarterback. They're one of the worst teams in pressure and stuff like that.
yeah,
that being said, the Chargers have no offensive line. Justin Herbert has been on the move for pretty much the entire season. And I think this game will be decided in that factor. Because I'm not, I know the Chargers defense is great. I'm not worried about the offensive performance as much because I do think that, worst comes to worst, Drake May can just go to the checkdowns if he needs it instead of
You mean Drake made May?
yeah, that guy. He could just go to the checkdowns when you need it, and even if the big plays aren't there, and you can slowly move the offense that way. I'm worried about, how can you stop the Chargers offense, which is not as good as the Patriots. But that being said,
Still can
their
be
one
dangerous.
their one weakness in their offensive line is also the Patriots' weakness in their
Yeah.
pass rush.
Well, I do think, I'm hopeful that we've got a lot of, I don't want to say we're getting healthy at the right time, but we've had a lot of guys on injury for a long time that are they're back basically. We still
Yeah.
got some.
Robert Spillane is back. Hopefully
Yeah,
he can break
Spillane's
his.
back, Campbell's
Yeah.
back,
Yeah.
Barmore. So, as long as those guys are still in the league, Barmore and Diggs and those guys,
Yeah.
you'll be okay.
It'd be nice to see Christian Gonzalez have a good game.
Yeah.
I don't think he likes playing zone defense, and that's really all the Patriots did this season. He's more of a man on man, right? He makes the plays going out and, defending best receivers in the NFL. And it just seems like some points, it's been better as of late, but earlier in the season, it felt like he was just, he was making the plays, but it felt like he was uninterested, if you know what I mean. Like he was just
Yeah.
out there making the plays, but he wasn't, super hyped up and whatever. And I'm hopefully he can make an impact in this game because I'm worried that he could be a trade asset coming up this offseason.
I'm not worried about the offseason. I'm worried about the current season. I'd like to see Spillane. If
That's fair.
Spillane can have a
Yeah.
good game and
Mm-hmm.
help plug the holes in the run and stuff, like I
Because
think that's going to be
I mean,
huge.
yeah, Justin Herbert is going to be on the move if the
Totally.
Patriots have any sort
Because
of off defensive
Spillane's
pass
got to
rush.
make tackles,
Yeah.
spy, plug the hole, like jump routes. Like he's got to have he doesn't have to have an A++ game. He doesn't have to
Mm-hmm.
get 3 sacks or something, but he's just got to have a solid game. I think that's going to go a long way.
Yeah, and then I think as all games come down to in the playoffs, who can make the most explosive play? Can Drake May find Kyle Williams on a go route, or Stephon Diggs shows up on a big crosser or whatever he's running, right? Can you
Because I
find
think
those?
Booty is out with a hamstring. Is that correct?
I, I don't know if I don't know if he's out or questionable. He might be out.
Take a
I'm
look.
not sure.
We'll see if we
But
can pull that up, but we're kind of out of time here. We got to get to the games, which are starting in just a few minutes here. So, any closing thoughts?
yeah, I think that right, we talked about the explosive plays. The Chargers have one of the best sort of defensive in the short game, which gives me hope that they'll be able to go long over the top of some of these cornerbacks for the Chargers. But that being said, right, it comes down to the defense and I know this defense on paper is, a top defense in the NFL. I don't believe in them one bit, to be honest. I think they played some of the worst offenses in the NFL this season. And, as of late, they've given up some pretty bad, there's been quarters where they've had good games, but then you have the quarters where, they just give up, 14 points, 20 points, these big, stretches of time where they've been pretty terrible. But yeah, we'll wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for watching. You can check out this podcast on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in video or audio format. We will be back on Monday to react to the Pacers Celtics game. Hopefully, an easy dub for the Celtics. And then Tuesday we will do our trade deadline preview, and podcast episodes will continue to go on as normally planned. And maybe we'll have a little NFL reaction sometime tomorrow as well. But
Go
until next,
Thieves, go Pats.
go Pats. Drake May, I need 4 touchdowns from you today.